Hello friend and fan friends, and welcome to today's episode where we're going to have a lot of fun like we always do. Hey, if you remember last week we showed you the design and the construction of our upper cabinet in the kitchenette area. This week we'll talk about alignment and connections between our partition wall, the kitchen cabinet, and our gluelam frame. Will there be a love connection, or is the fur gonna hit the fan? There's only one way to find out. Let's get started on our project. In this next part of our build, it gets actually very exciting. What I've done is I put a cleat underneath the cabinet here. I put a cleat underneath the cabinet here, and then I brought in our new upper cabinet box and face frame, and I set it down. Now, the reason I did this is because we need to find out a few things to make sure everything's going to fit okay. One, we want the top of our cabinet right here to be flush with our glue laminated frame here. We want the top of our partition wall here to be flush with our gluelam here. Same on the other side. So now that we've placed our box in place against our partition wall, we know that it's going to be flush on the top. We know that it's going to be flush here. So now what we need to do is to remove not only our face frame, not only our kitchen cabinet box, but we need to take out our partition wall, lay them all flat on the floor, and then use those wood biscuits that I've been talking about. In this segment, as you can see, I removed our partition wall from our trailer. I took the kitchen box off first, obviously, and I went ahead and I laid it all on the ground, and I got some measurements and some marks, and then figuring out that it all seems to be looking pretty good, like it'll work. Let's hope. I went ahead and I cut our two panels down there and there. We still need to glue those in, but I went ahead also and I cut this panel here and I installed that. And I'm glad I waited, because I had to actually put a screw through this side in order to hold this rail right here. So that's all glued. We're gonna glue that side in a minute. But now we have this other, I guess it's the final panel that we're going to slide in place. A little bit of a tug right there. And that's in place. Now, have our top piece here. That will need to glue, and well, you get the idea. We're going to put this back down on the ground, put a little bit of glue in each of these joints, and then we have just this little special detail right here that we need to do. So let's get it to that point and we'll move on. Well, that does it for this panel. What we have to do now is take off all of our clamps. I think this is probably our most complicated panel. It has butt joints, it has lap joints, it has screws, it has glue, it's got little baby brads. It's glued on. It came off. Two more. So now you can see our first partition wall is done, with one exception, and that is the little arches that we're going to stick in here. They're going to mimic the side window, but we can do those down the line. We don't have to do those right now. This Just a little run through. This is where our feet are going to go. Down underneath here is where we access underneath the sink and the stove and the side of the ice box where we'll put water. Up here will be a little storage place that we reach from the cap into the open storage. I think it's looking good. On the back, which will be facing the kitchenette, I put this little rail right here. It's been glued and nailed on with little itty bitty nails. And what that is going to do is that is where our cabinet is going to sit on that rail. So we have something nice and solid for it to hook to, as well as the sides. And other than that, that's our partition wall. I think it's ready to be sanded up a little bit, and then we'll hook our cabinet to it. Uh-oh. Burn the fan friends, we've got a fuzzy little problem. I thought we were ready to go. I did one last measurement check, and we have an issue. Our issue is this. Don't adjust your set. We are on an angle. We are crooked. That's the problem. Let's see what happened. What you normally do and what I did, a little bit too late. Remember, we have assembled this wall in different segments. Like we did this part here one day, and we came back and we finished this part another day. After I took it out of the clamps, I said, we ought to check this thing for square. So I put my tape measure here and here, took a measurement. Took another measurement from this corner to this corner, and wouldn't you know it, we're almost 5/8 inches at a square. Yeah, 5/8 of an inch. Now that wouldn't be, that would still be an issue. The biggest issue with that is that means our outside walls are going to lean. We don't want to lean, even at 5/8 of an inch. That's going to throw off everything, especially our hatch. So last night I was first going to push it into shape. But you know how many joints are here and how many things are all glued up and already done? So what I did this morning to try to figure out what went wrong is I went ahead and I put our squares on each corner, and I found out that this part that we did a few days ago, that's all square. What happened, and I don't know how, but what happened somehow yesterday when we glued in these parts, it actually, from this rail here, all of these rails here, they twisted. Just that little 3/4, 5/8, 3/4 of an inch, they twisted. And so the solution I've come up with, as you can probably see right here, you can see the wood versus the angle. So the solution that I've come up with is I'm going to use one of our tools and basically cut this joint down the center. This is just screwed in. I'm going to cut that joint. Basically, I'm going to go right between the half laps and just cut that joint out. They're not mechanically fastened, they're just glue. So I think if I can cut that joint, that joint, that joint, that joint, and then I'm going to set the whole thing up in a jig so we know that it's square, and then I'll re-glue this part straight like it's supposed to be. Don't know how that got away from us, but we'll get it fixed. We need this thing to be right on square. Well, it may look like our partition wall is on life support, but I think we're okay. I got our piece of plywood down, which has true right angles on it. I laid our partition wall down on it, clamped 2 corners. You saw me cut off our joints on that end. And then I realigned from this wall here forward. I realigned it. Then I went ahead and I reattached it with glue and with clamps. And with any luck, we'll go ahead and have this a nice square wall, which we need. Now, unfortunately, because of our little challenge, we're not going to get to our biscuits. I'm sorry. Please join us next time and we'll continue to build our little trailer. And I wanted a real quick shout out. Hello to our new subscribers. It's good to have you here.